Hi there everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Hospitality Hub, the exclusive podcast from IMI International Management Institute Switzerland. We're really excited this week that we are joined by one of our alumna. We sat down and chatted with alumna Asena, who is one of our Swiss graduates. She studied with us back in 2013. And the reason we got her on the pod is since graduation, she's gone on to have a really interesting and diverse career, both in hospitality and more recently in the pharmaceutical industry, where she's currently working as global head operations for Roche here in Switzerland. We thought Asena was a really good example of a hospitality graduate who has used the skill set that hospitality brings to branch out into different fields. We talked to her a little bit about her time at IMI, her career path since, and how she has used her hospitality degree to get to where she is today. So please enjoy. Asena, thank you so much for coming to visit us on campus today and join us for the latest episode of our podcast. And you were a student with us back in 2013, I believe.
Yes.
And can you remember what you studied back in those days?
That's a tough question already.
We start with the hard ones.
I believe it was hotel and tourism management.
Hotel and tourism management.
Yes.
And since then, you've gone on to work in various different industries, and you're now working at pharmaceutical giant Roche.
Yes.
Who I believe you were telling me you just celebrated your 10-year anniversary with.
Yes. Just last week, I think. Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
But okay, let's rewind a little bit and go back in time. What was it? Because you were born in Switzerland, you were raised here. How did you discover IMI? Because we don't have so many Swiss students, so it's always interesting to hear how the more local students come and discover us.
Thank you for asking. So I did my apprenticeship at Roche back in the day, and afterwards it was time to go to university. And I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to study, to be honest. It was either going to be business or psychology. But then actually my mom and I saw IMI online and we thought, wow, tourism, how cool is that? The international environment, and especially here at this school, with all the international students, the travel, the industry, tourism was already very interesting for me even back then. The languages, it was just a very appealing kind of topic for studies. And that's how I ended up applying. And I was so excited when I got accepted to IMI. I remember that. That's how I ended up here.
Did you come and visit us before you started out at school?
No.
Okay.
So
You turned up day one.
Yes, with my suitcases.
Let's get going.
Yeah.
And what were your first impressions of the school? Because obviously it sounds like you had an image in your mind before you came. Did the reality live up to that? Was there anything that surprised you?
The nature side and the location of the school surprised me. I'm still, even today, I came here and I took the bus from Luzern Bahnhof, and it was just this very melancholic kind of journey to school. It's gorgeous, the surrounding, the lake, nature, the building itself. It just feels like family. Even today, I come back here and I think, oh, that used to be my room, or oh, this is where we're studying and all of this. So it was a very beautiful time to come to IMI, I think.
Nice trip down memory lane today as well. Yeah. And during your study, obviously, as today, for all our students, we offer kind of paid internships as part of their study. Mm-hmm. Did you also do an internship placement during your time with us?
Yes, I did two, actually.
Okay.
One of them was after my first year here, was in service in Basel. And the second one was actually after I graduated in sales and marketing in Turkey.
Okay, so two quite different roles or different internship responsibilities. And maybe it's going back a little bit. Can you remember, obviously, F&B service is one very specific thing, sales and marketing quite different. Can you remember maybe the different lessons you took from each internship?
Yeah, definitely. So I must say service, F&B was not easy, it was tough. Just the working hours and the constant presence that you had to have for your guests. And if it's more of an upscale kind of restaurant or hotel, it makes it even more challenging because you have to be there, you have to stand straight and welcome people, deal with guests that are super lovely and friendly. But of course, there's also the more challenging guests. Mm-hmm. But you kind of have to adjust and just be there for people. And I think I learned that the biggest lesson for me in service was work hard because you're here because you want it to be here. And the second thing is just stay humble. There's nothing wrong with bringing people their food. It's actually very rewarding to build those connections with those guests in that moment and adjust your style to whoever that guest might be. So that really helped me become who I am today, I guess. Yeah.
Of course.
That was.
And your second internship, obviously that sounds like you were moving slightly more into let's say, a more generic marketing business area. And was that useful in preparing you for maybe where you've ended up today?
Very much so, I would say. Just the location of that being in Istanbul in Turkey, which is very different to my protected little home in Basel, that certainly helped shape who I am today. And also the work itself, I think that corporate, that more serious kind of way of working is much more aligned to what I'm doing today. But I think it's that balance of that fun, more independent hospitality style combined with that more corporate, more serious, more regulated way of working has kind of shaped my current role, to be honest. Yeah.
And I'm always interested, obviously we have, as you say, students from all around the world. They all come here for maybe slightly different reasons and go on to do slightly different things. Did you have, you obviously said you had an interest in tourism. Did you have a kind of idea of where your career might lead after IMI when you were studying here?
I didn't. I was quite sure I'm going to stay with hotels. I was always very impressed with the beautiful resorts these big brands have all around the world. I was always hoping to become a general manager, to be honest. That was my end goal, really. And honestly, if someone offered me a job as a GM tomorrow, I might consider it. I still think it's a very broad responsibility and I'd love to do that. But I didn't have a very specific path. And I want to say, you can have a plan as much as you want, and it's good to have plans and ambitions. It's super important, but not everything in life is linear. Not everything will go down a straight line. So opportunities might come up in different areas. I think it's more about how you carry yourself and how passionate and dedicated you are to what you're doing today. That's then going to lead to whatever comes next, I would say.
Absolutely. And I think we try and instill that in our current students as well. The flexibility, the open-mindedness. Yeah. You normally come to a hospitality school because you're reasonably open-minded, yes. You're curious, you want an international exposure. So yeah, I think that's definitely something we try and still maintain. So I suppose that leads me quite neatly on to then how did you kind of move from hospitality to obviously you're now in pharmaceutical, working within the pharmaceutical industry. How did that kind of transition happen?
Yeah. It was a bit of reaching out to people and a bit of luck as well, I must say. So I got back I stayed in Istanbul for 3 years, working in 2 different hotels and marketing. And I came back to Switzerland without having a job, basically. And I did apply to a few hotels. I did apply to Schweiz Tourismus as well. That would have been a lovely job for me. I really saw myself in there. But it didn't work out for various reasons. And then I called one of my someone I knew that used to work in Roche back then. She was head of administration. And I said to her, listen, I'm here. I need a job, even if it's just something for now, because I really want to stay in tourism. What can you offer me just for the time being? And she offered me a role as an assistant in pharma development. And it was a very different job to what I was doing at the 2 previous hotels that I was working for in Turkey. And that's how I got my foot back into Roche. And I must say it was a bumpy ride in the beginning. Again, it was very different. It went from working with all these different people, really being in charge of the marketing and some of the sales and the e-commerce of a great hotel in Turkey, to sometimes making coffee and going back to making photocopies. That was a big shift to me there.
That kind of brings me back to when you were saying the importance of being humble earlier.
Exactly.
I guess that's a skill that you could bring back in this situation.
Yeah.
And I suppose the other interesting thing there is that the Roche connection actually came from a placement you did before you started your study, even at IMI.
Yeah.
So again, it's those, you never know where that connection, that opportunity, that number in your phone is going to come from. So
exactly.
I think it's as much as important as the studies that the students do here. The placements, the people you meet, it's all part of the onwards journey.
Absolutely. Even more important than the piece of paper at the end of the day, I would say.
I think so. Yeah. And so now you are a global head operations, is that correct, at Roche? So maybe can you tell us a little bit about your day-to-day, if there is a day-to-day, what's involved, what's...
Yes, it's my days never look the same, to be honest. It always depends on what is going on and whether there is larger transformation efforts like at the moment, or we are kind of maintaining the structure that we've built recently. It always depends. Because the function and the organization that we've built actually from the ground up 2 years ago, which is also when I was hired in my current job, is still growing and learning. So we built something, an MVP version of it. Now we're experimenting with different ways of working. And the thing is that nothing is ever constant. So the pharmaceutical industry constantly changes, right? With AI and everything coming in. Mm-hmm. So right now it's that adaptation to the market, making sure that we continue evolving and improving, but also figure out what has worked and what hasn't worked, and then making the changes again. So yes, the days start early, end late, but there is always a lot of fun involved. There's always a lot of tough conversations involved as well. So it's a very colorful and broad journey, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what would you say? So the skills that you learned from your hospitality training, from your hospitality study, do you find those applicable to the role you're doing today? Have you found some crossover there?
Yeah. It's tough to come up with specific things that I learned here that I can apply one-to-one in any other job. But I think it's more what I've learned over the course of my time in IMI. Really, that international environment, again, that was huge for me, for someone being born in Switzerland, living in that small town in Basel. This was brand new. And I think the studies and the support that you get from the professors and teachers here, and the courses and assignments that you go through, if you don't have that dedication and that passion for what you do, you won't get to the end results that is then satisfactory, right? And that applies to, for me at least, to everything in life. Even when you go for the big job later in life or whatever that might be, even if it looks daunting and scary and maybe different to what you're used to, if you're not passionate and if you're not dedicated and have that strong will to do the work, it's never going to happen. So I think this is what IMI really taught me, that away from home, growing up, building that personality of mine that this place has contributed to immensely, to be honest, building relationships with people from different backgrounds, learning about people from different backgrounds, going for an internship somewhere else in the country that I hadn't lived before, that was quite new, learning a different culture again, just being more self-confident over time. These are all things that really have led to, again, to I am today, I guess, that made a big difference.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Yeah. I think it's a common theme when we speak to our alumni. Okay, it's like you said earlier, the piece of paper is nice, it hangs on the wall, but I think the real memories that people take away and the way their personalities develop, the way they develop as human beings, that seems to be something that all our alumni point back to, and it's obviously nice to hear as a school as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, thinking back to your time at IMI, what are the fondest memories? What are the things that stick in your mind that you can share with us on that?
I wasn't that bad of a student, no. So I honestly, I had a wonderful time. I always think back to IMI and it's just like such happy times, really happy times. I think the people are really what made a difference in my life. I'm still in touch with some of them today, and even if we re-meet after 10 years, it's as if we've never lost touch. You know, it's that deep connection that you were able to build with many of them. Student nights were fantastic, of course. International Light was amazing. You know, everything that you guys organized back then, and so much love and so much, again, that family feeling that you don't get in other places, that second home away from home kind of thing, that was so prevalent. Even the meeting up outside after lunch and the studying together, going down to the lake or having a coffee in Lucerne. Again, the location of the school for me is just, and I'm Swiss, I'm used to these beautiful surroundings, you know, but it's breathtaking, absolutely beautiful. I can't really point. I mean, I fell in love, of course, as well in IMI. Who doesn't? It was like, you know, very
we do love our
dramatic
love stories.
Yeah. Still good friends today, so you know things turn out well. So, yeah, I can't point out a specific thing.
I mean, I think you just listed quite a few great things there. Yeah,
the whole experience is just deeply rooted in my heart.
That's nice. Nice to hear. And I suppose maybe just to finish off, if you could give a piece of advice or anything for our current students to take from your experience, what would that be? Again, putting you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah, I think, again, what I said earlier, don't plan too much. Work hard, be dedicated, commit to what you want, know what you want in life, have something to work towards too, but don't get worried too much about what's going to happen next. If you really want something, and if you're passionate about something, and if you have also the skills required for what you want to achieve, and if you work hard and if you study hard, things will open up. Doors will open up. The right people will come into your life one way or the other. And just have fun along the way, honestly. Just have that nice balance of living life now, but also preparing for what life has in store for you next.
I think that's a great message to end on, and definitely inspirational for our current batch. So thank you so much for joining us for this podcast. It's been great to hear your memories, so many happy memories, and to be inspired by what you've gone on to achieve since your journey at IMI ended. But of course, you never leave the IMI family. Really.
Never.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So a really great chat there with Asena, one that I certainly enjoyed, and I hope that you did too, to listen to. I thought it was really interesting to hear her explain how, as well as the education and the experience at our school, also the messaging of enjoying yourself, having fun, valuing the people that you're around, and working alongside. I thought that was all really useful stuff, a strong message for our current students to take on board. We will be back very shortly, I hope, with our next podcast. And in the meantime, as ever, you can find out more information about our school on our website, imi-lucerne.com, and check out all our social channels for the latest news and events from the school. Thank you for listening.